Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Hey, howdy, hey, cretins.
You're not doing your K-Pasa Kielbasa?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you're supposed to say K-Pasa Kielbasa, that one.
Should we try it again?
Sure.
No. I think...
Greetings, Kielbasa.
I think we're both... Greetings, Kielbasa.
Just checking.
I think we're both kind of worn out. We spent the entire week at the Craft Brewers Conference in San Francisco,
Which was, an awesome time.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic. I think the only thing it can compare to is, or that can compare to it is the Homebrewers Conference, which is coming up in San Diego in June, 2011. You want to get down there if there are still tickets left. Get yourself a ticket. Get your butt down to San Diego for that conference. It's going to be amazing.
Biggest conference ever we've had.
Yeah. Well, in the Craft Brewers Conference, there's 3,900 people, 3,200, something like that.
Yeah.
That's quite a few people that show up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
lot of vendors,
a lot of vendors that come out. One thing that was handy for me being, a new brewery, is being able to go through and see all the vendors in one place and talk to them, because you check this stuff online. I've done a lot of research online into products,
right? And
it still doesn't really tell you enough about, you can handle the products, you can talk to the people there. They give you a lot of information, and can discuss with you what your needs are and what you're trying to get out of it, why you need their product. Speaking of why you need a product, Blickman Engineering. Yeah. There you go. Pretty good segue, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Blickman Engineering, they make fantastic products.
They sure do make fantastic products. John, what do you think about their products?
I think they're fantastic. They're well thought out.
That was smooth, guys. Smooth.
Just call us a blanket, because we cover you all the time.
Right. Yeah. Got my back on that one. They make fantastic products and innovative products. That's when I think Blickman. I think innovation. He's always got something new that he's working on.
Yeah.
The guy. His brain's churning 24/7, and only a portion of it is
non-beer related.
Rude jokes. Non-beer related or non-brewing related. He's a funny dude when you get to know him. And he's a great guy. He supports what you guys do as homebrewers. He really does, and that's why he pays to have the show on the air.
Yep.
So if you appreciate that, I would send Mr. Blickman an email and say, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know.
And if you're coming to NHC, check out his booth at the NHC
San Diego.
You'll see some really interesting stuff. I think he might have some new things there for us.
Yeah, and the great thing is you can go up and talk to him. He'll be there, and you can ask him about the products, how to best use the products. You can tell him your ideas for products.
Yeah.
If you just have an idea, something you want to see done, you just don't care who does it, just as long as it gets done so you can use it.
Yeah.
Go up and tell him. Just say, hey, I got this idea. I really want this thing done. He's a great one to talk to. Well, and I was talking about that about the exhibit hall there at the CBC, and I got a chance to speak to some of the vendors that we're using that I've only exchanged email with, and one of the booths there was the TTB, the Alcohol Tax and Trade Bureau for the federal government.
Now, is that the same as the BATF? Did they change their name kind of thing?
It's changed. Who handles it has changed, and the name's changed and all that. So,
okay.
So when brewers are talking about federal, they talk about TTB. They're talking about federal licensing and label approval. Mm-hmm. And then when they're talking about ABC, they're talking about alcohol beverage control in the state that they're operating in.
Okay.
So what was really cool was, you think it's a nameless, faceless, bureaucratic, whatever, but there was a bunch of, nice guys there ready to help out, and it was fantastic. I went up, chatted with them, talked about my application, talked to them about, getting labels approved, things like that. Very helpful. And, just a great thing about going to CBC, being able to talk to them in person and, put a face to the name and all that. Yeah. So I really love that aspect of it.
Yeah. And it's great to be able to, even as a home brewer, I'm predominantly a home brewer going to these, but to see all the different hop vendors, hear about new hop varieties coming out. Yeah, new malt varieties coming out.
You'll go through the exhibit hall there, and you get to smell and rub different hops. Mm-hmm. You get to smell and rub whatever you want, but we focused on the hops,
right?
And it's like, this is a new variety. We're just this is like the first year in the tests, and what do you think of this? And it's kind of neat. You can say, send me some samples. I want to try that.
Yeah, I stopped by the 5-Star booth, and they were, they had their products out, but they, it's interesting. They also offer a lot of other products for the commercial brewer, fittings and so on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have quite a broad product line actually. Uh-huh. But it's the kind of thing where you get a chance to walk the floor and just see all these things laid out. We saw plastic beer kegs, coming out.
Right.
We saw lots of bottling systems, cleaning systems. Mm-hmm. There is an ozone cleaning system where
cleans the ozone.
Well, no, nice. For spraying off and sanitizing, it's oxygenated water.
Yeah,
that
or ozonated water.
Yeah, that they spray on things and to accomplish the sanitization without residuals to be cleaned off afterwards. It was really kind of neat.
Right,
and it gets in a lot of crevices and stuff. The wineries use it a lot. For sanitizing the barrels.
Yeah.
Or maybe not sanitizing, but, killing everything and prepping that. Ozone's a trippy cleaning system, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the extra oxygen, I guess, oxidizes the...
just it burns the bacterial cell walls and does the kills that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and another great thing, and I think a lot of brewers go to this thing, or a lot of industry people go to this thing because the brewery they work for, or the company they work for is paying for it. And so they go, and for them it seems just like a drinking adventure, and they don't go to a lot of the seminars and stuff. And that's a shame, because there's a lot to be learned from that.
Yeah.
Now, we did our fair share of, in the evening, going out and enjoying ourselves. In particular, last night, we wanted to have a nice, final night dinner, a real nice place. Now, John had mentioned 15 years ago he had gone to this Italian restaurant on the wharf, and I asked the concierge and found out it was called Scoma's, and it's like a family-run place. They get all their own seafood in fresh and all this, and we're like, oh, yeah, that sounds really good. And the concierge says, now there's no reservations there. Like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, this Saturday night.
We better go soon, yeah.
Right. So we cab it on down there. It's like, 5 people in a four-seater cab, kind of jammed in there. And we get down there. You go in and you find out, you put our name in.
Yeah.
Brew Strong, right?
Brew Strong, yeah. And they said, hour and a half wait. And it's like, whoa, okay, well, we'll just stand here and have a couple beers. But
I'm thinking hour and a half, no way. And
we're dying
I'm
here.
like, I'll tell you what, I'll come up with $100. Somebody go bribe the hostess into getting us a table.
Yeah.
And
I couldn't do it.
Right? Yeah, we're all just like, no, I don't want to do it. So we have who was with us? It was you, me, and then we had Candace Moon, who's a craft beer attorney, deals a lot in trademarks. She's been helping us out at
Chris,
Heretic.
your assistant brewer.
Chris Kennedy, he's our head brewer at Heretic, and then Jeff Griffith, who's the head brewer at Golden City Brewery in Golden, Colorado. And I've known Jeff for a few years now, and he's a great guy. But we all kind of talked him into going up and being the one to bribe the hostess.
Yeah. Now, what should I say?
It was like we had to instruct him on the whole thing, and he's like, I've never done anything like this before. I can't do this. And we're like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. And part of what we determined it was he was the best looking of us all.
Yeah.
We're like, should you go? No. Should I go? No. Jeff's the most attractive one.
Yeah.
That'll
make a good impression on the hostess.
Give us a few more points. And so we're like, you go up there, you get the money, and
so you got a priority.
You just say, I'm here with a client. Is it possible to get on a priority seating list? Maybe if it's possible to pay like $100 on the priority seating list, and
we're saying, but don't mention the money first.
Right. Yeah, and don't give her the money until she says yes. And then we're cracking up, and we're all laughing.
Yeah,
and he's like,
he goes in.
Well, and then John says, well, the reservation's under Brew Strong, and he says, Bruce who? Like Brew Strong. He's like,
Bruce wrong?
Brew under what? We're like, Brew Strong. You must have heard of Brew Strong before.
Don't you know who we are?
He's like, what? No idea. That's when I found he only listens when we mention his name. So I guess he'll be listening to at least a few minutes of this show, because people will go and tell him, hey, they mentioned you.
So what was the phrase that paid? Like, what did he actually say to this girl? Like,
he went in.
Maybe Mr. Benjamin can find us.
No, I think
he
went
said he
in
had a client.
It did exactly what we were saying. Yeah, he's got a client. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or impolite or improper or anything, but I got a client. I'm here with a client. I really, is there any way to get on priority list for maybe there's some way we could pay like $100 and get on priority list and
so he goes in
when he goes in, John's like,
man.
He's standing way in the back, way from the money. I think he threw it at her. We're all like, what? Of course, we can't see, but we're just like freaking out. It was hilarious. And he comes out and he goes, that's the way it's done.
Man. Sounds about as awkward as prom night.
Yeah. Right. But within
20 minutes,
20 minutes tops. I mean, we stood around outside maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we went in ordered a drink while we're getting our drinks.
They
called us, and that was for a table for 5, which was quite a bit more difficult, I think.
Yeah. But, the food was fantastic.
Oh, it was out of this world, yeah. It is out of the world, perfectly prepared. It was something to behold. And it wasn't cheap, but especially with the extra $100.
Yeah, but it was worth it. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care about the rest of you folks. I can't wait another hour and a half. I'm just, I was starving and exhausted.
Yeah.
Pounded down my food. I'm like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, that was a great night.
Yeah. Oh, and that's one of the things, CBC wise, you get to see a lot of your peers. You get to see, hang with a lot of friends. And I met a lot of guys that are starting up pubs and breweries, from Canada, from Texas, from Colorado, from all over. I think somebody in Argentina or Brazil or something like that.
Right.
They're just, so many of them, a lot of new startups. That's what I think impressed me the most was, there's, 650 some odd, new licenses being submitted this year or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the guy from the TTB said, the number of licenses, it's like doubling every year.
Wow.
Of course, their staff and budget doesn't double at all or go up, but they're just being inundated with a huge number of submissions there. But it was really cool to talk to a lot of guys that are just guys and gals, men and women that are starting out with new ventures.
Yeah, that's some of my friends from Mexico were there too. I saw them.
Oh,
they've started up a micro, Cerveza Aguamala.
Right. Very very cool. So that was really interesting to me. to see all that. But just getting a chance to hang out with you and some other folks.
Especially the other folks.
Yeah, especially the other folks. Yeah. I know I took everybody up to Russian River, and we did a Russian River Lagunitas stop, and and did that. Parking in the city only cost me, $180?
Just one night at the hotel.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, John and I are going to get into some of the technical information that we picked up, gleaned from this CBC.
Our gleanings.
Real interesting. Back after this.
From the stovetop to a camp burner to some kind of brew stand, most homebrewers follow some version of this progression. With each move, a homebrewer will often have to change a lot, if not all, of their equipment. Until now, Blickman Engineering brings you the top-tier brewing stand, the only brewing stand that grows with you. For example, buy a top-tier floor-standing burner now, and it'll bolt right to your top-tier brewing stand when you're ready for all-grain brewing. The top-tier brewing stand is perfect for 5-gallon to 20-gallon batch sizes. Its modular design is adjustable and accommodates everything from small footprint coolers up to 30-gallon pots. How does the top-tier brewing stand do it? At its core is a strong, heat-treated, and anodized aluminum main post. On all 4 sides are built-in T-slots for the adjustable heavy-gauge stainless steel shelves and beefy burner tiers. The tiers accommodate any manufacturer's pots or coolers up to 21 inches in diameter. Best of all, not only does the top-tier brewing stand grow with your skills and equipment, but it easily knocks down for long-term storage or transport, too. The top-tier brewing stand from Blickman Engineering. Learn more at blickmanengineering.com and to find a local Blickman retailer. And start brewing from the top tier.
Hi. I have a 6er of Lagunitas in the icebox. My roommate's gone for the weekend, and I'm wearing something flimsy.
Listen, baby, I told you not to call me after 8. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I gotta go.
Who is that? Your girlfriend? You loser.
Shut up, Doug. Did you guys get the cauldron set up on the altar of my art?
If you weren't so busy getting booty calls, you'd know that.
The hurricane furnace is using propane while you guys talk.
All right, I'm using the scroll of Mosher to boil the first decoction.
Nope, it's scorched. What do you do?
Frack, scoop it out and try again. Doug, use your math rake.
You took too long. The color is now darkened past the point where you can still call it a Pilsner.
This sucks.
I hate it when Greg's the brewmaster.
What's this? Poindexter Urkel?
Dude, can't you see we're in the middle of a brew session?
Is that an actual beer?
Yeah, I crafted it. I don't really use the dice anymore. I'm a 10th level beer nerd.
Are you a 10th level beer nerd? Do you belch White Labs 833 and Craft Simcoe? Then you're in good company at Northern Brewer. Northern Brewer has all your beer nerd needs. Ingredients, equipment, and knowledge 24 hours a day at northernbrewer.com. Plus, fast, cheap shipping. Only $7.99 for the contiguous USA. And check out Northern Brewer's huge selection of dorky beer kits, including the Cylon Detecting 3-Hearted Ale and the collector's item Super Alt.
Mine's in mint condition because it's still in the box.
Make 10th level at northernbrewer.com.
Whether I'm making me dry stout or rebuilding me kegs, I head to the heart of dear Dublin for me homebrewing supplies.
You head all the way back to Emerald Isle just for a wee batch of grain or a bit of keg tubing?
No, you moronic waste of liver. Dublin, California. I go to Hoptech.
For 30 years, Hoptech in Dublin, California has been supplying homebrewers with malt extract, fresh grains, hops, spices and sugars, hop oils and extracts, and much more. Hoptech is one of the first homebrew supply shops on the internet and is proud to offer award-winning beer kits, both online and in their store.
Mention the BN Army for a 10% discount off your order.
The store is open every day except Wednesday, or shop online at hoptech.com anytime. Hoptech is run by passionate, award-winning brewers who live, love, and travel for beer and bring their experience to the store for you.
If you don't want to visit Dublin, just call toll-free 800-DRY-HOPS or go to hoptech.com.
Visit Hoptech today in Dublin, California and at hoptech.com.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 10 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA in the Northeast, Northwest, parts of the Midwest, and Alaska in cans and on draft. So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in a can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack cans.
Hello?
Hey, Drew, it's Push. You want to do some lunch?
Oh, can. I'm reading something important.
What?
Hello?
John, it's Push.
Hey, this is John, and I'm busy reading right now, so please...
What is going on?
This is Sven.
Hey, you busy?
Yeah, I am. I'm reading Gordon's new book.
From Brewers Publications and the only homebrewer to win the coveted National Homebrew Competition Ninkasi Award 3 times, comes a complete look at technical, practical, and creative homebrewing. Brewing Better Beer by Gordon Strong.
What sets this book apart is its insistent focus on what's important for the homebrewer. Like a great beer, it's extremely well balanced. A mix of technical, practical, and creative advice that, if taken to heart, will make your beer a whole lot better.
You'll learn Gordon's techniques and philosophy, recipes and tips to take your homebrew to the next level. Brewing Better Beer. Master lessons for advanced homebrewers. Proudly available now from Brewers Publications.
Hilo, what's it feel like?
Take awesome and multiply it by 2.
Yeah!
Spraying live beer radio all over your face.
Can't get any better than this, baby.
It's the Brewing Network.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right. Well, and another great event that we're going to be at is the Cleveland International Beer Fest.
Yeah, that's coming up in May.
I've never been because I think this is the very first one.
Uh-huh.
So,
how international is it going to be?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question, but I know it's billed as the largest showcase and competition of world beers in the Midwest.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be at the IX Center. They're going to have they say upwards of 800 beers from 200 breweries.
Oh,
in 3 sessions.
That sounds promising.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to be there May 13th, 14th. 13th, we're doing a live Brew Strong there.
Okay.
From the festival, from the big stage. Did I say Brew Strong or did I change?
You said Brew Strong.
Okay,
good.
good.
That was good.
All right. Brew Strong. Yeah, I mean, you're starting to look a little like McDowell. I'm worried about you.
I got to lose weight now.
Going a little gray.
So we're gonna be from 8 to 9 p.m. We're gonna do a show. We'll probably go a little long, I think.
Yeah, I think we're always long.
Yeah. I know I am. No. We will be doing that on the 13th. That's a Friday.
Okay.
8 to 9, main stage. And then Saturday, they have the awards ceremony, and I guess we're going to be emceeing that or something along those lines from 2 to 3:30.
Okay.
And then I'm hosting a VIP beer experience session on Saturday the 14th. That's going to be an hour, sometime between 7 and 11. And what they asked me for that was if I would choose the beers that would be available in that VIP experience thing. I could choose from the 200 breweries or whatever, and which beers did I want to have in there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll pick all sucky beers, or you'll be drinking what I like to drink.
I'll help you choose them.
Essentially, then I can just it's Palmer's choice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That Palmer, and
he's from Michigan.
He's from Michigan. Yeah, all these Michigan beers.
Yeah, that'll go over well in Ohio.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be a blast.
I think
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Justin's going to be there. Moscow's coming out with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got to bring one.
Yeah.
Slave person along to tote gear and.
I don't mind Justin being there.
You're right.
Ask me if I'm going to be there.
Will you be there, JP?
No.
Well. What
Getting
can I
better
say?
and better.
Oh
no, I wasn't supposed to.
Oh, that was cruel. That was cruel.
John's mic is now off.
Yeah, see, the monkey behind the board has control, so you got to be careful what you say.
And this monkey has a good arm, and he will throw things at you.
Yes.
Poo. Yeah. Speaking of poo, don't forget, coming up after the next break, It's another thing I like to call what you don't know about my friend John Palmer. So look for that after the next break. So what are some of the technical things that you learned at the conference that you kind of surprised you? New information, things that you thought were unusual?
There's a lot. I mean, in fact, a lot of people ask me. They say, "Well, who do you brew for?" And it's like, "Well, I'm not a brewer. I'm a writer." Mm-hmm. It's like, "Oh, why did you come?" It's like, "Well, I come to learn." Mm-hmm. Because I mean, in all the talks, whether it's NHC and learning there, going to those seminars, or mm-hmm. here at the CBC. There's always, all brewers are, constantly, exploring and trying new things. And so, we really heard some neat stuff. I went to the yeast technical that you hosted mm-hmm, with several right. famous brewers.
Yeah, moderated a panel of about yeast, which was. There was Fal Allen from Anderson Valley. Yeah. There was Mitch Steele from Stone. Mm-hmm. There was Scott Vaccaro from Captain Lawrence. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is, all of those folks have done Canyon Brew with us. They all make excellent beer. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that they're on the panel, because they know a lot about yeast, because that's why they make excellent beer. And then Chris White was on there as well, and I was on the panel. And this panel was about harvest and storage and reuse of yeast in commercial breweries.
Right.
And the thing that I found most interesting or most surprising, I think, was Mitch was saying that at Stone they determined that repitching from the IPA was their best yeast. They were getting the best viability, 95% or higher. Whereas with some of they thought that it would be better to use one of their lower gravity, lower hop beers,
right?
Because they were worried about the hop, high hop levels of the IPA impacting viability mm-hmm. of the yeast, and but because they're brewing that so frequently and the yeast is so fresh, and other things, I guess you and I talked about, maybe it has something to do with the way that they're handling it, because they crash cool down to 62 to do their dry hopping, and then they pull the hops off. Where other beers, they're leaving the, or maybe it was Chris Kennedy. We're talking. They're mm-hmm. leaving the yeast with the beer, and just over a longer period of time. Right. But they're harvesting 30 barrels of yeast. They have a yeast break that's 30 barrels. That's the size of your batch where we're brewing at Heretic is 30 barrels. I'm like, I thought that was plenty of beer, but that's how much yeast they harvest.
Yeah, and then they use that yeast for mm-hmm. all their other beers.
Right.
And it was interesting, I think, because he pointed out that the reason they do that is because by that being their most commonly used mm-hmm. or the freshest yeast, that allows a much more consistent product across the board, across the brands. All these beers benefit from this mm-hmm. yeast being consistent and high vitality.
Well, and the point being, when you harvest yeast, you're going to have some bitterness in it, and the higher the bittering in the beer, the higher the bittering in that yeast is going to carry over to your next beer. Mm-hmm. Same thing for color and things like that. But as long as it's consistent, then you can adjust for it in your recipe. And you can say, okay, well, let's back off the bittering an IBU or two to make it all fall into spec because we're using this yeast. Mm-hmm. And if you select different yeasts or different beers to harvest from, and the beer that you're harvesting from is changing, you're going to have a harder time hitting a standard. So, you may find out, I'm harvesting from this beer now. All of a sudden, this one seems a little too bitter or not bitter enough, or the color has changed slightly. Fal Allen from Anderson Valley, he was saying that they harvest from their
Boone Amber.
Their Boone Amber. Mm-hmm. They'll brew it on a Wednesday and they'll harvest it, and then they will use that for about a week to pitch all the other brews. Mm-hmm. And then they'll, again, once a week they're brewing Boone Amber, and that's what their source of their yeast is for all their beers.
Yeah.
Whereas Captain Lawrence, he's not able to do that, and his schedule might force him to change different beers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, it's not the ideal way to do it. Same thing with it wasn't completely harvesting and measuring and all that. He was having to go cone to cone, that was a little trickier. That's a little more on the pro brewer side, but I thought it was really interesting on how they decided what beer to harvest their yeast from.
Yeah, definitely. Another topic was improving efficiency in the small brewery, and that was really interesting. Van Havig from Rock Bottom, or formerly Rock Bottom, did a presentation, and it was interesting from the standpoint that Rock Bottom, of course, has a number of different breweries around the country, and they're all kind of independent when it comes to the actual brewing of their beers. So, but what they do is they compared their efficiencies, calculating out their extract yield per barrel, and what they determined was that 82% was kind of like their bottom mean end for efficiency, and some of the more efficient ones got up around 89%. And when they're using that much grain and so on every week, a difference in efficiency like that is economically important. So they did a study asking the brewers to put down the factors that they considered that had an impact on their efficiency. Various things like temperature, source water, yeast, and pH, and grist. The coarseness of their grist. And while they identified, a lot of factors were just in the noise. Local environmental conditions and so on. They did determine that pH was a significant factor. That correcting the pH in the mash could mean, a 1% gain in efficiency and actually an extract yield. But he said that the biggest one was the coarseness of the grind, and actually coarser was better. That by going to a really coarse grist, their extract yield actually went up because they were getting a more efficient lauter. The grain bed permeability was better. They didn't have the compaction, the channeling in the grain bed due to too tight a grain bed, the one that would compact when they started the lauter. And they discovered that slowing down the lauter from say 60 to 90 minutes to 90 to 120 minutes would make a big increase.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. Just slow down, and you're probably fine.
Yeah, and then the other was the factor is how coarse the grist was. And he had some neat slides on sieves. How measuring the fractions of different sieve sizes. Where you make that.
And you can buy those. They sell them. I even think they sell them through McMaster-Carr. Yeah. And it tells you
number 14 sieve was. He said if you're a brewer, small brewer, and just sieve using the 14 pan only, and if you've got around 70% retained by that number 14 sieve, that's a good grist grind to use.
Well, usually you need to also size it with the next one up to make sure it isn't too big.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But he said that but that was a real good rough cutoff for that correlated with their findings.
Right.
So
yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense to me because I know when I've had issues with extraction, so on, it's been when I've been trying to really grind it fine, get a lot of flour in there.
Yeah, I go with a real coarse. I just crack it. I don't. They almost look whole, but you wiggle into your fingers and then the husk falls off and you got little particles, in there. So just cracking it. Well, and there was also one on cleaning, right? What would you pick up on that one?
Yeah, Larry Chase talked about keeping it clean, And his take homes from that were, be methodical, create a checklist, clean methodically, clean consistently, and then as you see and troubleshoot issues in your brewery, you can work from a consistent base. That way, when you make a change, you know that you're not changing other factors at the same time. Mm-hmm. And everybody seemed to take away some good cleaning practices from that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear more about what we learned at CBC.
Cool.
Back after this.
I love beer. I'm a brewer. I brew it. I drink it. It's in my blood, really. I'm that guy that pours malt extract on his pancakes. I wish I could just put a good brew in my pocket and take it with me.
Now you can. Hey brewers and beer lovers, why not eat the energy bar invented by a home brewer using the same ingredients in your brew? Introducing Brew Bar Energy Bars, spelled B-R-U-B-A-R. Malt, oats, vanilla, nuts, cinnamon, coconut. You've put them in your beer, and you'll find them in your Brew Bar Energy Bar. All natural, made with simple ingredients chosen for the highest quality. They're new, different, and have a rich malty flavor and smooth, moist texture, just like a fine craft brew. You can find Brew Bar Energy Bars at brewbar.com or find a retailer near you. And if you are a retailer, you should contact them and find out how you can sell Brew Bar Energy Bars. Check them out at brewbar.com. That's BRUBAR.com. And follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/brewbar. Remember, it's in your Brew Bar Energy Bar because it's in your brew.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Writing a review of WLP 400.
What? You're reviewing yeast?
Yeah. White Labs has home brewer reviews of all their strains. Are you new to these interwebs? Check it out.
That's awesome.
White Labs, your source for great yeast, invites all brewers to visit whitelabs.com to read and write your own reviews of all their yeast strains. Get real-world tips and tricks from other brewers who have made the most of their vials and post your own experiences. It's another way White Labs brings you closer to the best yeast on the planet.
And send. There you go.
You misspelled flocculate, dude.
What?
White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Downtown Joe's, located in the historic Oberon building in beautiful downtown Napa, California, offers an award-winning brew pub experience from 8:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. For 15 years at the corner of 2nd and Main, Downtown Joe's has been voted Best Night Spot 7 times and Best Brew Pub for the last 4 years in a row. Brewmaster Colin Kaminsky's handcrafted ales, like his Tail Wagon Amber Ale and Double Secret Probation IPA, are the perfect accent to riverside dining, live music, and a relaxing outdoor patio. Don't miss the Beer of the Month, special rotating taps, and the BN Army Member Special. Wear your BN gear, get 10% off your beer. Visit downtownjoes.com to make reservations, peruse their extensive calendar of events, or just read more about their fantastic beers. Come enjoy the fine beer, food, and music. Downtown Joe's, the award-winning brew pub where you'll feel at home.
I've always thought that opening a brewery was a great way to ruin what is the perfect hobby. But like most home brewers, I really wanted to see what it would be like to produce my own beer commercially. When I started out, I was, obscure homebrew geek, and being part of the Brewing Network has exposed me to a lot of people with a great passion for brewing. They seem so supportive, interested, and generous with their support. That kind of thing makes you feel like you can succeed at anything. Of course I'm excited. It's frightening. It's terrifying. It's kind of, we've got this rescue dog, and she is completely frightened. So when she comes up to me, she's shaking and salivating at the same time. I feel the same way with Heretic. I'm still a homebrewer at heart, and I hope that homebrewers always feel welcome at Heretic and able to provide part of the feedback and creativity that makes craft brewing great. The thing that excites me most is the opportunity to put a beer out there that I feel is the best beer I can make, and especially get a chance to go and drink that beer with people and see their reactions and get their feedback, and hopefully they'll be as excited as I am about Heretic beer.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of our 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Our Williams Belgian Pale Extract is mashed with pure Belgian two-row malt and a small percentage of Belgian wheat malt for an authentic Belgian character you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out our unique fermenters, 2.5-gallon kegs, paintball tank-based draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and much more. We even have our own line of precision hydrometers. Go to WilliamsBrewing.com to browse our vast selection. That's WilliamsBrewing.com. Orders placed by 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way.
This is www.thebrewingnetwork.com.
Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Like the Lance Armstrong of the beer world. Except for that nut thing.
This is Brew Strong.
All right. So a little thing I like to call What You Don't Know About My Friend John Palmer. His idea of a wild night includes a slide rule. Little thing you don't know about my friend John Palmer. All right, so we were at the CBC and enjoying the information there. Now, there were several sessions about hops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
A lot about hops. Yeah.
And what were a couple of those that interested you, that you found fascinating?
Well, the first one was just kind of the versatility of American hop varieties.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's to the rest of the world, they're starting to use American hops.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of countries copy American Pale Ale.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we're trying to use more noble hops. I mean, you look at Sam Adams beers, or we're trying to emulate the
you're
old
hearing they're great and they're better,
they're noble,
right.
etc. Well, so what they did was
it's like noble cars. Yeah, they only went 20 miles an hour and had no seatbelts.
Yeah.
And let's ignore the rocket powered cars we have today. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
All right.
So they brought out paired beers.
Mm-hmm.
Same recipe, just different hop varieties. And the main comparison was like a noble hop such as Hallertau Mittelfrüh
mm-hmm.
with an American cultivar or an American clone of that, such
mm-hmm.
as Crystal
mm-hmm.
or Mount Hood.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was neat to taste, the subtle difference
mm-hmm.
in the beer, just that hop variety made.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting to see how close Crystal was to Hallertau Mittelfrüh.
Now, did they tell everybody it was Crystal?
Yeah, they did.
Ahead of tasting it?
Well, yeah, they did. They said,
"See, I'd rather they didn't."
They passed out the cups and said, "Okay, here's the European hop, here's the American hop."
Mm-hmm.
So, and you could taste them side by side, so on. It was just.
But I'd be interested in just a blind tasting.
Mm-hmm.
Which hop do you like better?
Yeah. So they did that with
or which one's the noble hop? I bet you get some interesting results.
Yeah. Well, in fact, at one point, the Sierra Nevada beers are going around, and they asked him, so which one's which, Tom? Tom Nielsen from Sierra Nevada. And he took a sniff of it, and he goes, okay, this is the Crystal, I think. So, but yeah. There was Sierra Nevada, Moonlight, and New Glarus
mm-hmm.
all served beers for that with this comparison.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting.
Very cool.
To talk about. The other one, hop talk was on hop maturity,
mm-hmm.
and kind of the takeaway from that is they had a talk about the formulation or the hop oil, kind of a discussion of what constitutes the hop oil. Mm-hmm. There's like 400 separate chemical compounds that have been identified so far in hop oil. I mean, it's a very diverse substance. So from there, they explain that the longer you leave the hops on the vine, the more weight percent of oil develops in the hop.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing like the increase in hop oil given days prior to nominal picking and after nominal picking time. And that day is kind of arbitrary, depends on the grower, but it's kind of a balance in the grower's mind between the dryness of the hop cone, the friability of the hop cone, and its tendency to shatter. So you wait till you start developing some oil and aroma in the hop, and you feel the cones if it's the right papery consistency, and then you pick it. If you wait longer for that oil to build up, the hop cone is going to start shattering, and they won't be able to effectively pick it. They'll just end up with a bunch of loose leaves or petals in the bottom of the picker. But the other thing, just interesting thing was, and they did a study of Cascade and Willamette, each from 3 different farms, located around the Willamette Valley, and they determined that not only does the hop oil content increase with days on the vine, but also the character of the hop oil shifts during that time. So it may have been a little stronger in the floral, to start with, and may end up a little stronger in the fruity towards the end of that. Although, don't take me,
right.
florally.
The point being the character is changing.
Yeah. They don't have enough data points at this point to say how it shifts, or even if it's maybe consistent within a hop variety. It may depend on location, and it may depend on a particular farm where that hop was grown as to what character comes out with time.
They're still in the early stages of figuring this out.
Yeah. And all this data was coming from a lot of different growers and a lot of different brewers. They also talked about how different hop varieties are perceived by brewers in terms of what their dominant character was and what brewers felt the dominant use was in their brewery. So it was very interesting. A lot of turnout for that one.
Well, and there was a lot of stuff about sour beers. There was a lot of sour beers to try, and barrel aged and stuff like that. And Vinny was holding a panel on barrel aged beers, or intentionally soured beers, spontaneously fermented, and what was interesting about that? What would you take away from that?
Well, that one, he had 2 Belgian brewers on the panel, from Cantillon and I've forgotten exactly which the other brewery was. But they really praised the American craft brewer movement for keeping Cantillon and some of the other key Belgian breweries alive. I mean, they say their demand is increasing, and part of it's due to the resurgence in sour beer here in the States.
Well, it's interesting. The one thing the brewer from Cantillon mentioned, he said, they're like 20,000 square feet, and they only produce out of that 1,500 barrels annually. It's very space and labor intensive to make these beers. These spontaneously fermented beers. But what I took away from that is like, well, someday if Heretic has enough money to do it, and we're buying the property, putting it in the cool ship, and we're doing some spontaneous fermented beers. It's just to keep that process alive. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to think about some of the other high points. He mentioned that several. I mean, the economics of brewing is caught up with a lot of Belgian brewers, where sours are being produced by just the addition of lactic acid to a beer.
Right.
And they encouraged. They thanked the craft beer scene for keeping the traditional process alive. And
that's like microwaving a steak.
Yeah.
It just doesn't taste right. You can do it. It's cooked, but it's just wrong. And one of the other things he was mentioning, how his father had to kind of give in and start adding sweeteners to the beers for a number of years. And they were just because of the marketplace. They were, in order to survive, they had to do that up until like 1978, when they were finally, back to being able to do just sours, and they were so thrilled being able to do that. I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was a neat talk. Interesting to hear about how they viewed their craft.
Mm-hmm. Well, in their process, one key thing that they kept repeating was your fermentation or your conditioning should never exceed 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 C. If it was like, oh, you're making bad beer if you do that.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I thought that was very interesting. Mm-hmm. And I generally keep mine around 65 when I'm doing something along those lines.
Right.
And just recently, I pushed one to 70. Mm-hmm. And it still turned out okay, but
yeah, they were.
I'm a little more wary of going higher temperatures since they seem so adamant about it.
Yeah,
and I can believe that makes quite a difference.
Yeah, they were. He said because it is a spontaneous natural fermentation. I mean, they had to be aware of when it got too cold. Mm-hmm. And, it shut down their fermentation for a time.
Right. They only brewed during the winter.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when it got below 20 C or 68, and mm-hmm. or when it was below that, or if it got above, then they weren't mm-hmm. brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, great talk though.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Well, another great talk was our good friend Charlie Bamforth.
Oh yeah,
Dr. Bamforth from UC Davis.
Yeah,
he's always entertaining. I mean, it doesn't matter what he's going to talk about. Just go and listen to him if you get a chance.
Energetic,
and you will laugh and you will be fascinated.
Yeah,
every time.
He talked about advances in brewing science,
mm-hmm.
and interesting. He says, beer has been brewed predominantly the same way, 1,000 years. He said,
mm-hmm.
if you go back to medieval ages, you will recognize what they're doing.
Yeah, you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. But advances in enzymes, advances in packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the
flavor products, flavorings, things like that. Yeah. One of the experiments that they had done was to essentially make a beer out of, like vodka, and then they, additives and all this stuff, and then they served it to students, and some of them thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I guess his point there, he was talking about how there's a brewery in New Zealand that is doing a continuous fermentation,
right?
And how that for most breweries that doesn't work. We're still a batch process because we're not making the same beer all the time. But what if you could make the same beer all the time, and it's all just one like base beer that you then add flavorings and hop extracts and things like that to make all your different product lines, mm-hmm. and or take that one step further, the way that they make things like wine coolers, all these alternative flavored drinks.
I love those.
They essentially brew a base beer that's pretty flavorless with like one hop cone in it, so they can call it beer, and then they filter everything out. They they strip out all the color and flavor, mm-hmm. and then they flavor it back.
Yeah.
And you could do that, and then you could also make your regular beers from it, and you can make all this different stuff. And that's not what he's encouraging people to do.
Yeah.
But he's just saying it. It really looks like somebody's going to start doing that.
Yeah.
Pretty soon here. And
well, his other big talking point about that was that because today's beer, traditional beer, is made the way it is. It's a
mm-hmm.
batch process.
Mm-hmm.
It's made.
It imparts a certain flavor.
It does, and he says
certain character.
And if these people that are trying to make beer with these new methods, with
mm-hmm.
Adding flavors, adding different extracts and so on, he said you're not making traditional beer. You're making
mm-hmm.
a new beverage, and if you want to make a new beverage that way,
mm-hmm.
it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
You can get market acceptance because that will taste like that.
Right.
It's not going to taste like traditional
beer.
He
one of the examples, he said, you can't take Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and start making it this way and still have Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It'd be different. As close as you can come. He says the technology is getting closer and closer to doing something like this. But the I think the most telling comment, and the one that really hit home with me, is a beer doesn't taste right. Needs a beer that tastes right in your mouth, that's one thing, but beer needs to taste right in your heart and in your mind. I guess that's a Fritz Maytag thing. It needs to taste right in those aspects as well, and it's important how it was made. Fritz was always he was always telling a story about if he was to have 2 wines, he went to dinner at your house, you offered him 2 different wines, both of them scored the same, but one was made in a factory with Germans and stainless steel and all the technology, and the other was made by your grandfather on his farm up in the hills, and he made it the way that his grandfather made it. Which would you drink? He said, I'd drink the one with the story and the history behind it and the way that it's made, that it's going to taste so much better.
Yeah,
because of that. And I think that it's a big part of it. No matter how much advances occur in brewing, how it's done. If you look at the Cantillon thing and the sour beers, you look at these advances. They're at Cantillon, I think they were very proud to be going back to the way. They removed some of the more modern changes that were preserving some of the wort. They weren't, they had stopped filling them all the way up because they'd lose a certain percentage of beer that way.
Right.
But it exposed more to the oxygen.
Changed the character.
There was more acetic character to it and things like that, and the pellicle would break. And so they went back to filling them all the way to the top, was something his grandfather had done, but I guess his father had stopped doing or something like that.
Right, trying to save as much beer as possible.
Well, and trying to save the business, back then. So sometimes the older way of doing things is better. Sometimes it's worth embracing the new way, or the new hops or whatever it might be. Bamforth always leaves me thinking.
Yeah, definitely. He told a funny story too. I mean, he always tells funny stories during his talks, but he was talking about a friend of his, chemical engineer.
Right. Uh-huh.
His friend saying, you're doing this wrong. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, when you make beer, what do you make the malt? What do you do? You add water? Okay.
Right. It's like, this is stupid. The whole process is stupid.
Yeah.
So you're idiots.
Yeah. You add water, then you dry out the water.
Well, he's like, what happens with the malt? He goes, well, what's the first thing you do? Well, dry the malt, Why do you dry it? Well, and then it's like, what do you do with it after that? It's like, well, add water to it. Then, drain it out, add water to it, a couple of times. It's like, and then what do? You dry it. And then what do? You grind it up and add water to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you boil it.
Yeah.
Take the water out. Yeah.
And what are you doing during the boil? Taking some of the water out. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And just a fantastic time. If you ever if you ever have a chance to hear Dr. Bamforth speak, and he comes on the Brewing Network a number of times. He's been on Brew Strong a number of times. Just a wonderful person in general, and just a fun guy to be around and listen to. You learn a lot from folks like that. So that was one of the great things about CBC. There's a lot of people like that. Maybe not quite as
colorful
and interesting and wonderful as Dr. Bamforth, but in their own right, just downright interesting and wonderful to talk to from the smallest to the biggest brewer. They're all there at the CBC. So I had a good time. All right, let's take our last break, and we'll come back with any questions you might have in the chat and wrap this up. Back after this. Hi, I'm Jamil Zainasheff, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Homebrewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your homebrew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmasters database if you want. And the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then bam, click Buy Recipe and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmasters Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmasters Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
In April, More Beer keeps slashing prices. In February, they lowered the price on ingredients. In March, they dropped their equipment prices. And now for April, they're cutting prices on their awesome beer ingredient kits. Lower prices on the award-winning kits you've come to love, like Pliny the Elder. Stock up for summer. More than 20 kits are on sale now. All is part of their commitment to bringing you the best value in homebrewing with low prices and free shipping over $59. And on April 15th, stay tuned for the release of a new More Beer Signature Series kit. Yep. Tasty McDole's famous Janet's Brown Ale. They're proud to donate $1 from each kit sold to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Cancer Foundation. Get more than ever this month from your brewing budget at morebeer.com.
Since 1921, Muntons has been a provider of quality malted grain and extract.
What did he just say?
That's 90 years of locally sourced grain for home brewers and professional brewers alike. All farmed within 50 miles of our malt houses.
What? I can't understand what this is. The last part.
Whole and crushed malts, including wheat and peated malt, liquid extract, hopped and unhopped, as well as dried malt extract. Everything from beginner home brewer kits to all the ingredients an advanced home brewer needs.
Something about trains? What language is this guy speaking? He's from Austria.
Muntons is proudly serving brewers in 54 countries and honoured to be a leader in malting.
Can you understand this guy? No. That's a really weird language.
Ask for Muntons malt and malt extract at your local home brew shop.
Muntons, for brewing, distilling, and baking. Quality malted grain and extract for 90 years. Make your malt Muntons.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys.
Hi, I'm Jamil Zainasheff, and in addition to my work, I'm Jamil Zainasheff too. Yes. So we are the guys that make wine guys look like, or other guys look like wine guys, or something about testicles. I don't know.
We put the wine in testicles.
Sorry about that. I was trying to
put the testicles in the wine.
I was trying to apply to a PM, and apparently
wrong buttons.
I'm just typing. That's all I was doing. Hotkeys, man.
Hotkeys.
Sorry about that.
All right. So speaking of testicles in the wine, fellas, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs for a little inspiration, plus a free extra gift so essential we can't mention it on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. And no, we're not teasing. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type Jamil, Jamil, for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use offer code JAMIL at adamandeve.com. All right, so we're wrapping up our show about what we learned at the CBC, which we we learned so much that we thought it would be nice to share that information with the crowd that they didn't get a chance to go there. They sold out. Next year is going to be in San Diego in 2012. I think it's around May 2nd through 5th, I think it said. Something like that.
Okay.
In San Diego, 2012. So if you get a chance and you're you're a brewer or thinking of opening a brewery, or you supply products or services to the brewing industry, definitely check it out. Or you're a beer wholesaler, or you want to get involved in that line of work. I met a lot of people. One guy we chatted a fair amount. He's up in Canada. He's an attorney for the government, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting until they have cuts, downsizing, and then I'm off to open my brewery." So he said, "In the meantime, I'm going to all these trade shows and conferences and learning and building up his information for the day when he gets to."
Yeah.
And even if he never does, I tell you, it's entertaining, it's enjoyable, it's a great way to live out your
great
interests.
Networking.
So, yeah, you meet a lot of great people there. Not John and I, but other people that are really great.
Other people.
Yeah. All right, we got any questions from the chat, JP?
We not about CBC. There's a lot of Q&A interest.
Okay,
which is our next show.
Yeah, we got a live Q&A show coming up, and we'll take any of your brewing related or beer related questions, and it should be a lot of fun.
Well, actually, here's one. Are there any resources available to listen to the Craft Brewers Conference seminars?
Yeah,
I don't think so, but
they did record all of the sessions. They had a company come in and do that, and they have all the PowerPoints and all that. I think it's only available to those who attended, though. I don't know if they sell that separately.
They do. All-Star Media sells them, and I was able to buy episodes and download last year's talks. So, if you go to allstarmedia.com, they have previous years of the CBC available for download or on CD.
Oh, cool.
And I believe they'll have the same for this.
Right. Does that include the PowerPoints and everything? Or
no, it's just the audio. And for this year's conference, all conference attendees get a copy of the audio files.
Right.
As part of their conference fee.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Then they might, maybe they'll carry that forward in the future too. I think that's great, because you can't make every topic. And some of them you really want, you're kind of conflicted as to which one to go to.
Right.
So having access to that is really great. Okay.
Very good.
Good question. Well, another fine Brew Strong episode.
Brew Strong.
Yeah. And, coming up next is the live Q&A session. We will take your questions and answer them. Fancy that. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Blickman Engineering, BlickmanEngineering.com. They make innovative products for brewing that I bet you would find fascinating and useful in your brewery as well.
You will.
All right. And keep this in mind. I'm no stranger to hard work. I've seen it done a couple of times. Brew Strong.
Brew Strange, everybody.